In 2029, 10 people will board a spacecraft and then leave Earth forever. Elon Musk calls them a suicide squad. This is not a joke. This is SpaceX's official plan for colonizing Mars. A one-way ticket with an 8-month journey. After landing, there will be no fuel for a return trip. There are no supply stations. Even the oxygen to breathe will have to be produced on site. But even more frightening is these 10 people are just the beginning. Elon Musk's ultimate goal is to put 1 million people on Mars, to build a city on the red planet. You might ask, why does it have to be Mars? Isn't the moon closer? That's exactly the problem. The moon is only 380,000 kilometers from Earth. A spacecraft can make a round trip in just a few days. But what about Mars? Even at its closest, it is 55 million kilometers away. A one-way trip takes 8 months. Elon Musk says it very plainly precisely because it is far. That's why it has to be Mars. The moon is too close. If something goes wrong, you can still count on rescue from Earth. But not on Mars. Martians must learn to survive on their own. Eat Martian food, drink Martian water, burn Martian fuel. In other words, this is not immigration. This is exile-like survival. So what conditions does Mars actually have to allow humans to survive? Honestly speaking, Mars has conditions that are slightly better than you might imagine. But only slightly better. And first, there's the issue of time. A day on Mars is called a sol. It lasts 24.6 hours, only 36 minutes longer than a day on Earth. Your biological clock wouldn't really need. Next is the axial tilt. Mars's axial tilt is 25.19 degrees. Earth's is 23.5 degrees, almost the same. What does this mean? Mars also has spring, summer, autumn, and winter. It also has day and night. More importantly, Mars happens to sit in the Sun's habitable zone. It's close enough that daytime temperatures can reach about 20 C at the highest. It was a major discovery of 2024. NASA's InSight Mars lander. There is a large amount of liquid water, and this water is stored in rock fractures located 10-20 kilometers underground. How much water is there? If all of it were extracted and spread across the surface of Mars, it could cover the entire planet to a depth of 1.6 kilometers. This is currently about Mars, the most authoritative conclusion regarding liquid water. Where there is water, there is hope. But do you think that just because there's water, it can be drunk? That's far too naive. This water is buried more than 10 kilometers underground. If we want to extract it, we would need to develop specialized drilling and heating technologies. And 99.87% of Mars's atmosphere is carbon dioxide. The oxygen content is only a pitiful 0.13%. It's less than 1,000th of Earth's level. If humans went there, the very first breath could suffocate you. Fortunately, in 2021, Perseverance rover, it brought a small device weighing 17 kilograms. This thing directly made spaceflight history. For the first time, humans on a planet beyond Earth successfully produced oxygen. Its principle is actually not very complicated. It simply takes the carbon dioxide in Mars's atmosphere and heats it to 800 degrees, then uses electrolysis to separate out oxygen. It can produce up to 12 grams per hour, with a purity of over 98%. What does 12 grams actually mean? It's roughly enough for one person to breathe for 10 minutes. The number may sound pretty underwhelming, but its significance is enormous. This proved one thing: Mars's resources can be utilized on site. We won't have to transport everything from Earth. So how do we solve the housing problem? At night, temperatures on Mars can drop to minus 80 degrees Celsius, even colder than Antarctica. During the day, ultraviolet radiation can directly penetrate your skin. Long-term exposure would greatly increase the risk of cancer. NASA's plan sounds a bit far-fetched. Building houses out of ice. First, set up an inflatable framework. Then let robots fill it with water ice from Mars. The water ice would not only provide insulation, but also block radiation, and its semi-transparent nature would still allow light to pass through. Even more impressive, materials scientists have discovered that the minerals in Martian soil can be mixed with processed human urine urea to produce high-strength cement. This approach directly turns waste into building materials. It takes recycling to the extreme. But if you think solving water is enough, and that oxygen and housing mean everything is taken care of, there is one thing on Mars, a dust storm that can instantly reset all efforts to zero. Martian dust storms are not just the kind of wind you might imagine. They are more like clouds of frozen carbon dioxide, ice, dry ice particles, which sublimate directly into gas, creating extremely powerful gale-force winds that sweep across the entire planet, not just a single city, not just a continent, but the entire planet. Such superstorms occur roughly once every 3 years, and when they come, they can last for several months, churning the entire Martian atmosphere into a muddy soup. Sunlight cannot even reach the surface. In 2018, NASA's Opportunity Mars rover was lost in exactly that way. This rover was originally only designed to operate for 90 days, but it ended up lasting 15 years on Mars. But that year, a massive dust storm hit. Its solar panels were covered with a thick layer of dust. Sunlight levels dropped by 96%. The batteries could no longer charge at all. NASA tried every possible way to put it into hibernation mode. But in the end, contact was still lost. The last message sent by Opportunity was, "It's getting dark. My battery is running low." And then it remained there forever, in that red desert. Its loss of power during the Martian winter is believed to have ended the mission. May 2022, Mars dust storm caused its solar panels to be covered with dust, forced it into hibernation, and it has not woken up to this day. So, in Elon Musk's plans, there is a key step that must be completed before humans land. Robots must be sent first to pave the way. SpaceX's plan is to launch 5 new ships in 2026 first, carrying robots and equipment to land on Mars. These robots will first build 2 life support facilities to ensure survival. A water treatment plant. They would extract underground ice and melt it into usable water. A fuel plant, using hydrogen produced by electrolysis and Mars, carbon dioxide from the atmosphere to synthesize methane, to power the return spacecraft. Once the fuel production and other basic infrastructure are built, only then will humans set foot on Mars. Arcadia Planitia, the northern hemisphere of Mars, to the northeast of Olympus Mons. This is, at present, the first Mars city site selected by SpaceX. This place is close to the equator and can receive the maximum amount of sunlight. More importantly, the data from the probes shows that there is a vast amount of subsurface water ice hidden here. Water is a hard currency on Mars. Without water, everything is just empty talk. Elon Musk's plan is to build 1,000 new ships within 10 years. On average, one would be launched every 3 days. Each ship can carry 100 people, using the Earth-Mars launch window that occurs once every 25 months, to transport in a concentrated manner. By 2050, a will be built on Mars, a self-sustaining city capable of housing 1 million people. Why does it have to be 1 million people? Because this is the number calculated by Elon Musk for a civilization to sustain itself, to reproduce itself, to live independently without relying on its parent civilization. The minimum population threshold is 1 million. He said it very bluntly. This Mars city is not a human resort, but rather a backup hard drive for human civilization. Even if one day something unfortunate happens to Earth, the spark of life can still continue on the red planet. This sounds like science fiction, but every step is advancing robotics technology, fuel synthesis technology, and in-situ resource utilization technology. New construction and recycling technologies, all are being developed in parallel. Tesla Optimus, specifically designed for Mars deployment. Of course, many people also question it. Can it really be achieved by 2050? No one knows the answer. But one thing is certain from 1960 until now. Humans have already sent more than 50 probes to Mars. Every failure is data accumulated for the next success. Every machine that lies dormant on Mars is, in its own way, telling us how dangerous that red desert is and how worthwhile it is. And perhaps this is what the human species finds most fascinating. We know full well that what lies ahead is an abyss, yet we still can't resist the urge to jump in and see what's there. That place, which is so far from us. A red desert, 55 million kilometers away, is waiting for its first residents. Maybe it will be you, or maybe your children.